Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Hello, my friends. It is Friday, the 27th of June, 2025, which of course means it is time for, if you can believe it, episode 60 of Mullinger's Weekly Ramble, which means at the end of this episode, you would have been listening to me ramble on for more than 60 hours. God bless you, my friends. I think you know how much I appreciate it. You know how much I love doing this podcast, how much I love meeting you all. Massive thanks to the lovely friend of Julie Woods, who I met in Costco yesterday, who told me how she said the most lovely thing, which people sometimes say when they listen to this podcast. She said that I feel like I know you because I listen to the podcast. And I said, you do know me. Like, you are, and my wife was standing there, so I didn't want to say this, but it's like, you know me better than my wife and children know me, because this is the 1 hour of the week where I get to be me. So anyway, thank you all so much. 60 episodes. Happy days. This episode of Mullinger's Weekly Ramble is brought to you by, that's right, we have a sponsor, the Lighting Lounge in Rothesay, New Brunswick. Now, this is a sponsor who I have the utmost respect and admiration for. It is, the Lighting Lounge is a new store, but it is located where the old lighting store used to be. That's right. Same amazing service, same amazing selection. It is Serge Landry, who has been there for many, many years, at the forefront of the business, and a huge reason for the success of the old lighting shop that was there, where the lighting shop used to be. The Lighting Lounge is the new shop. It is Serge Landry's business, and it was one of the very first stores that I ever went to when I moved here 10 years ago. And I will say, by the way, welcome to my new neighbour, Jennifer, who just moved in yesterday into Jane and Bentley's old house. Of course, you know, this being New Brunswick, that will forever be known as the Ackerman's house. Jen, you will be, I'm still in the Seeley's house, Jen. I've been here 11 years. Crucial point, didn't buy it from the Seeleys. No, they moved out about 25 years ago. Still the Seeley's house to everyone here. You are in the Ackerman's house forevermore. That's how it works here. Jen has driven here. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing her private business. If you do, Jen, let me know. Not that I'm assuming you're listening, but you could be listening. You might be able to hear me right now. I mean, I've got the window open. It's quite hot in my loft, and I'm talking quite loudly. Jen could be out. Jen is possibly outside her brand new house that she just moved into yesterday, listening to me talk about her, thinking, I wonder who he's talking to. And she's probably thinking, well, and then what a loser. He's sitting there at his desk talking to himself. Not a loser, actually talking to thousands of people all over the world, right? I say all over the world. You are all over the world. It's just that there's like not many of you in certain other places. Oh, I saw Reese and John, the amazing producers of this podcast at Podstarter, sent me some of the results. You know, like quite often we've hit like the number 2 spot in comedy improv in Canada. Lovely. We're also like something like the 30th most listened to podcast in the Ukraine. So, which is wonderful. I can only assume that is down to my amazing friend Oksana sharing this. So yeah, I'm big in the Ukraine is what I'm trying to say. What's my point? Yeah, we got listeners in Texas. Hi there, Lady Catherine. We got listeners in London. Hi, lovely Kyla. My dear friend Kyla, amazing opera singer, who many of you have seen us on stage together at Harbour Station at the Kingsbury Amphitheatre, is actually taking part in a new opera production in Blackheath in London, and I so wish I could go over for it. What's my point? My point is, the Lighting Lounge, 52 Mar Road, Rothesay, New Brunswick. Go to the new website, thelightinglounge.ca, sign up, go to the Facebook page. Many of you may know. So basically, my point was this. Sorry, this is how it works. I know some people might be thinking, oh, you've got a sponsor now, James. You're all official. You've got to be a bit more professional. The fact is this is still Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. And as you know, I've had some disdain in the past for these millionaire American comedians polluting their podcasts with, just lists of sponsors, blah, 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 blah. The fact is that this podcast is all about supporting local. It is all about a love of Canadian entrepreneurship, Canadian community spirit, and fear not. We're not selling out to the devil. What we are doing is continuing what we've always done, but saving this podcast. And essentially, the Lighting Lounge have saved this podcast because, believe it or not, you can't get one of the country's best podcasting companies, Podstarter, follow them, to work for nothing forever. They love this podcast. But at the end of the day, someone at some point needs to. So my point is this: that the Lighting Lounge have saved the day, and it was one of the very first stores I went to when we moved here. They basically have the most incredible selection of 20,000 assorted bulbs. So whether you're looking for just one replacement bulb, which I've been in this predicament when I obviously got here 11 years ago with loads of English lamps, and they knew exactly what they were doing. Interestingly, some of the big chain homeware stores, should we say, some of the big ones, the big chains, I'm not going to name names, they often do send people to the Lighting Lounge because they know that they're experts. So go and see Serge and Tiffany at the Lighting Lounge. I'll share more later. I'm going to talk you through what I've been doing. I'm excited. Everything's great in the world right now. So it's when I'm supposed to be pissed with. Everything's not great in the world right now. Sorry. I'm going to take that back. Everything's terrible in the world right now. But I'm trying to be positive because you come to 100 Weekly Round, but you can go to the Guardian newspaper for what's happening in the world. And I am not being dismissive of what is happening in the world because it is frankly awful. Obviously, you don't need me telling you that. You don't need me telling you that literally the fact that we're about to go into the Third World War is not great. However, on the plus side, it is sunny out. So, you got to take what you can get in life. I'm not being dismissive. Nothing. It's not fun. How do I get out of this hole I'm in right now? I've dug a hole. We can't edit this. Maybe we can edit it. Do you want this show professionally edited? Or do you want it to continue? Now we've got sponsors. We can do anything. We could have all kinds of bells and whistles. I could have fireworks going on, although would be cheaper on a podcast to just use a firework sound effect. Anyway, let me know. Answers on a postcard. Email me, comedy@jamesmanager.com. What else is happening in the world before I go into my... I bought a copy of the newspaper this week because, again... my God, it really is. There's a lot of promo this week all over the Facebooks for a lot of theatre and festivals. Oh my goodness. I've spoken in the past about somewhat vaguely about the fact that, so many Atlantic Canadian theatres and festivals are booking primarily American acts. Canada has united together to, again, this is not an anti-America thing. This is obviously an anti-Trump thing, right? The person causing the world wars, and how groceries, obviously the liquor stores removed all the American liquor in protest of the and again, no, not even anti-Trump thing, it's anti-tariffs thing. The grocery stores, but meanwhile, the anti-Canadian theatres and festivals are continuing to primarily. I saw an ad, a sponsored ad earlier for, I'm not going to name names, but for an Atlantic Canadian theatre that obviously, relies heavily, if not predominantly, on grants, which would be obviously taxpayers' money. It was an ad on the Facebook, the American-owned, Trump-supporting. Let's not forget, every time you see an ad on Facebook for a business, especially one that's government, but it's taxpayer funded, they have made the decision to send money to a company in America who funded Trump's inauguration. Mark Zuckerberg is Trump's buddy. He's in his pocket. He is a supporter and a funder and a financer. So every single time you see, I'm going to name some names, Atlantic Lottery, and it says sponsored under it, Atlantic Lottery has taken Atlantic Canadians' taxpayer money and given it to a Trump supporting organization. That's a fact. So anyway, I saw this theatre. It was an ad for an American comedian and an American musician, both who share the same first name, and it said sponsored under it. I thought, wow, that is the most depressing sight. A New Brunswick taxpayers' money being sent to an American musician, American comedian, and an American Trump supporting. Anyway, it's a sad state of affairs. I saw the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival in Halifax, which again, this bizarrely all-American, mostly male lineup. Matt Rife was one of the headliners. Matt Rife is, of course, for those of you that don't know, one of the biggest comedians in the world right now, a young guy who got very popular on TikTok doing crowd work. If you've been to a comedy club, the crowd work won't look that impressive because it's just what all comedians do all the time. But he very cleverly took these clips, put them out there. Young people who haven't been to comedy clubs saw them and obviously thought that this was genius, which, I mean, again, don't get me wrong, I believe, not saying I'm a genius, but I'm saying that I've always believed that what comedians do, there's some magic to that. But go to a comedy club and experience it for yourself. These TikTok things is very funny. You know, he might say something, like a woman will say something, and he will kind of mime doing a blowjob. Really clever, hilarious stuff. Like, you know, Colin would be. Anyway, point. I'm being slightly facetious. He's one of these comedians who is always complaining he's going to get cancelled. Like, he had his big Netflix special and he opened it with one of the worst, lamest domestic violence jokes imaginable. And some people expressed that they didn't like that joke, and he got his niggers in a twist and said everyone was trying to cancel him, when actually people were just saying we don't like it. Again, this is the classic cry of the millionaire, mostly normally white male comedian. Their cry is always, they're trying to count, you know, I'll say what I like, you can say what you like. And then someone will say, oh, actually, didn't find that very funny. Oh, you're trying to cancel me. So it's like anyone can, when they say anyone, what they mean is that anyone can say anything, provided they're not criticizing them, because they're all very sensitive. Speaking of sensitive, there's a very, very good interview with the comedian Mark Normand, who is an incredible joke writer. Interviewed him that I just read at the weekend while I was in Fredericton for my son's soccer tournament. In between games, we were charging the car, usual EV nightmare, driving around Fredericton. The EV charger, the one and only EV charger in downtown Fredericton is broken. Ironically enough, in the grounds of the NB Power. I mean, if this isn't a sign that this technology is not ready, or rather this province isn't ready, or just generally electric is a nightmare. The NB Power charger in the NB Power building by them is broken. And that's the only one. So basically you're screwed, and you're driving around burning battery trying to find a charger, and they're either in use. So that means you've got to wait a couple of hours. Anyway, so I've gone off the point. What was my point? Going backwards. Interview with Mark Normand. Yeah, it was very interesting reading about how he is how sensitive he is to criticism. Anyway, I related to a lot of what he said. It was brilliant about his joke writing, his attention to detail, how he has this fear of like how you've constantly got to come up with new material as a comedian, but people will travel to see him, and of course they want it to be funny, but they don't want to hear what they've already heard. But he needs to work out the new material, so it's that fear. This is the panic I'm always having as well, of like, you want to give them the best possible show, but also you've got to work out the new material somehow, and you feel like you're letting people down when they come to see you. And maybe they're seeing you for the first time, and you're like, oh, I've got to get this joke worked out, but you can't, it's not ready. Anyway, and you've got to work it out in front of an audience. Anyway, that's my point. Matt Rife, always complaining about being cancelled. Funnily enough, turns out he's the canceller, because he's actually just cancelled his appearance at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, because again, one of the problems with not supporting local and going to see these, you know, these so-called superstar comedians is, of course, the second that they're offered something, a film or a Hollywood gig, they're going to just cancel all their live shows or postpone them or whatever else. So he's been replaced by Aziz Ansari. Anyway, the whole thing just frustrates me anyway, because I can't believe that people aren't supporting Canadian performers more at this time. Treat your comedians like you treat your strawberries and your booze. So many amazing comedians across the country who are touring right now. You know, you've got the Ron Jameses, the Brent Butts, Derek Seguin. I mean, there's millions. You know, and there's also, of course, phenomenal comedy clubs here in Atlantic Canada. Yak Yaks in Halifax, Punchlines in St. John, Halifax Live in Halifax, PEI. There's tons of people putting on amazing shows. My friend Catherine Cairns putting on great shows all the time. Patrick Ledwell. Anyway, there's a lot of shows across Canada to see. So millions of people spent a fortune. These tickets are like $250 to see Matt Rife, and now he's postponed it because a better offer came along. So yeah, it's just disappointing to see the industry showing such an elbows down attitude to Canadian performers, and then we complain when they move to anyway. We complain when they move to America. Anyway, let's talk about some positive things. Campbellton Comedy Festival happening this. When is it happening? It's happening this September. This September, I've got a fun month. I've got the Campbellton Comedy Festival. 2 appearances on the debate. The Debaters is coming to St. John and to Charlottetown. Did you know that? And I also have a Playhouse Fredericton tour date. Also, in August, I'm doing the Cape Breton Comedy Festival. 100% Canadian performers. Yes, Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall. Bosh! Ali Hassan from CBC. Bosh! James Mullinger from the Rosse Road. Bosh! Speaking of which, my yard sale that was supposed to be tomorrow, i.e. Saturday, 28th of June, it's going to piss with rain tomorrow, so I'm going to go to the cinema instead to see F1. Really upset. Bloody Karate Kids left the cinemas. Never got a chance to see it on the big screen. Karate Kid Legends. Counting down the days to Andre Rieu's Maastricht 2025. That's at the end of August. What's my point? My yard sale is at my house, Rosse Road, Sunday, the 29th of June. See, you don't get this on these American podcasts, do you? People promoting their own yard sales. That's a sign that you've hit the big time, right? Can you imagine that? Tony Hinchcliffe on Kill Tony going, and this weekend, rather than we're playing the T-Mobile Arena, no, this weekend, I'm doing a yard sale. There's going to be, I will actually tell you what we've got. I'll do it in that silly voice. Can you imagine this? Joe Rogan, okay, yeah, so this weekend at Joe Rogan's house, we got kids' toys, we got men's shirts, we got shelves. I'm going out of the joke into the real. We have got both of those things, by the way. Some of you might remember I used to have a joke about called Yard Sale Dildo about the time that I did my first yard sale here when I first moved here, when I accidentally I had a big box of dildos. Long story. In England, I used to get sent stuff to either talk about on TV or talk about write about in magazines. Got sent a box full of luxury sex toys. Premium ones, you know, the Rampant Rabbit and up kind of thing. And ups, meaning upwards in terms of scale, not up my arse. That's private. They weren't used. I don't think. So I used to drink a lot back then and have blackouts. So I don't think they were used. And again, I can't speak for other people in this house, although I'm not suggesting that my wife... Anyway, there was a box of dildos that didn't necessarily look like old-fashioned style dildos, fancy dildos, posh dildos, what you might get at those sex shops in and around St. John that seem to do a lot of business. And I see them opening up all over the place, the shops, not people's. And a good point, they do a lot of sponsorships, don't they? Hey, the sex shops of Atlantic Canada, there is an opening, so to speak. There's an opening for you here on Manager's Weekly Ramble. That would be great. Listen, we've got our first sponsor, the Lighting Lounge. I'll be talking more about them later. But the sex shops of Atlantic Canada, bear us in mind. But see, all the puns. Bare bottoms, bear us in mind. What the heck was I? What on earth? I know I'm on a lot of tangents. Cape Breton Comedy Festival. Nick Beaton, by the way, stand-up special, Geriatric Millennial, check it out on YouTube. Nick Beaton is behind this Cape Breton Comedy Festival, and it is everything that is great about Canada. Scott Thompson, Ali Hassan, we're doing shows at the Highland Arts Centre. Equally, Nick Beaton has not only got a lineup, oh my goodness, this is Nathan McIntosh, one of Canada's greatest talents, of course. Again, elbows down from the theatres and comedy clubs and... Listen, and festivals of of Canada. So Nathan McIntosh had to move to New York, and then of course he's been on the Tonight Show. He's been on Fallon, left him, and Leno, blah blah blah. Yeah, he's been on all the shows. Plays the that famous comedy club, the Comedy Cellar. Every week. I was in New York last year, went to the Comedy Cellar to see Andrew Schultz and my favourite comedian, probably of all time, Dave Attell, and Nathan McIntosh was on. Ripped the roof off, and I have to say, again, we don't pit comedians against each other, I know that, but Dave Attell, I think, is one of... in my top 3 favourite stand-ups... I'll go through them in a minute. One of my other favourites was Greg Giraldo, by the way. It's a funny thing, the art of comedy, so I'm going off on another tangent. I should do an episode of this where I do take the ADHD meds and see if I can actually rein in my brain. I should be keeping notes. That'd be... When we get properly successful, John Reese, what I want, when we get all the sex shops sponsoring us as well... we should have a person. You know how Rogan has a person out back, like getting up the funny videos when Rogan says, yeah, a dog fisted a cat. And then he gets the guy to play the video. And it's terrible to listen to because you can't, obviously, I mean, it would be terrible to watch. I'm not saying I don't want to see a dog fisting a cat, but I don't know if that's happened. I'm just saying it's the kind of thing that Joe Rogan and Tom Segura would find absolutely hilarious. We're not pushing, anti-vax propaganda. What's my point? Yeah, someone should be keeping a list of what the stuff I'm saying, so then I can come back to it. Cape Breton Comedy Festival. Anyway, point being, look it up. Make a trip to Cape Breton. Also, there is a GoFundMe on it because, again, comedy in Canada, elbows down. No one's, they haven't got the sponsors. Lighting Lounge, if you're looking to sponsor, again, it's a bit far. Sex shops, support. I think one of the sex shops might actually be a sponsor for Cape Breton. Anyway, Comedy Festival. Come to Cape Breton, see us in August. Point being, Nathan McIntosh, one of the best comedians. He had a better gig than Dave Attell at the Comedy Cellar. That night, and we're actually recording an episode of CBC's Laugh Out Loud in Cape Breton at the Comedy Festival. This is the genius of people like Nick Beaton, Ali Hassan come together. CBC are basically traveling from Toronto to Cape Breton to record, and so I'll have a new clean half-hour special out on audio special on CBC as Laugh Out Loud. Did I tell you this before? I'm releasing my first two recordings from 2016 and 2023 on a vinyl record. Currently, CBC's have licensed me the material, my own material, but have decided they don't want, this is a weird one, CBC don't want the CBC logo on the vinyl artwork, which has sent us back to the drawing board because it's not an official CBC product. It seems odd. I mean, I've seen the CBC logo used in many, many negative ways, often with the F word attached to them, courtesy of Pierre. But apparently something that, a beautiful product of something they've... Anyway, what's in... I've probably not finished a lot of things. I'll get back to them next week. Front page news of this is what I was trying to say. I bought the newspaper this week. Support local media. That's how I went off on it. That was about half an hour ago, wasn't it? No, the show's only been running for 20 minutes. Maybe I was talking about this before I even started. I do sit here at my desk sometimes and talk to myself, by the way. If you can hear me, my new neighbour, Jennifer. Jennifer, if you're looking for good lighting, go to the Lighting Lounge. It's on the Mar Road in Rothesay. It's near Long Bay Brewery. Okay, here's a good one, listeners. Jennifer has just moved from Calgary. She drove all the way from Calgary with her beautiful dogs, and she's now here. Any suggestions for where Jennifer should go? I'm going to start with two places, the Lighting Lounge and Long Bay Brewery, which is right down from there. Front page news of the TJ. This is what people keep writing to me and saying, why isn't there local news anymore? I'll tell you why. It's because all of our museums and theatres are advertising on the Facebooks, and soon there won't be podcasts like this or even magazines if people continue to do that. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that, from band. Write to me, friends, listeners, if I'm ever banging on too much about one subject and you think, give it a effing rest, James. Front page news of the Telegraph Journal, and thank goodness we do still have this, and I know people complain about, Post Media or whatever, but thank goodness there is still a local newspaper, and regardless of your thoughts of it, support it. I don't support this, however. Front page news. Consultants suggest a 6.24% gas hike. The finding of experts hired by the Energy and Utilities Board. Well, of course the Energy and Utilities Board are going to say this. Basically, some bastard expert has decided that our gas isn't expensive enough. Can you believe that? That is an elbows down organisation if ever I've heard one. Gas prices in New Brunswick should be allowed to increase by more than 6 cents per litre so that retailers and wholesalers can get a bigger cut of the price at the pump. Well, I say to that, are you seriously trying to, like world's smallest violin, boo-hoo, the gas companies aren't making enough money, so we should all be paying more? And what the way to do? Shut up shop? Again, everyone obviously, I want people to make money. I am a bit of a socialist, but I'm not completely anti-capitalism. Are New Brunswick's new snow day rules going to change? I don't know what that's about. Snow days are a bloody nightmare. Anyway, I just think it's hilarious that the front page news is someone's decided gas not enough. Canadians that can't afford to eat right now. While all the grocery stores are evilly jacking up the prices. Oh my God, the prices in, let's just name them, bloody hell, in Superstore, Loblaws, Sobeys, what, You go in one week and it's like a pack of ham was $4, then it's $6, then it's 10. And you literally watch the prices just go up and up and up and up and up. And you also know, and you see that their profits are going up. So it's not because they have to. It's not because of this and the other. It's literally going, ha, 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 rubbing their hands together with glee. Ha, these stupid Canadians are all on this anti-American. So what, we can just jack up the prices of all the Canadian products and then we'll make more billions. Ha, ha. It's literally like Mr. Smithers evil level. And then then the gas companies hire experts who then say, we want a piece of the pie. How do we make these idiots pay more for their gas? The experts say that you need to pay more for your gas. Fuck you, experts, is what I say. Just stop ripping off Canadians, right? And again, you want me to put my money where my mouth is? If you listen to this podcast and you want to come to a show to see me this summer, my income is basically solely comes from ticket sales. That's how I make. That's how I put food on my children's table. It's a simple economy of scale. I rent a venue. I pay the venue money, often a lot of money, which they can then use to then go and spend on American acts and spend on Mark Zuckerberg. But that's how I make my money. Is I sell tickets for shows, then I feed children and clothe them. Right. However, if you listen to this podcast and you cannot afford tickets for a show this summer or need the money for other things like food or jacked up gas prices or, jacked up food prices, send me a message. I would love to give you free tickets. That is a 100% offer. Equally, if you're having a hard time and there is anything that you are struggling with, message me. I'd love to help you out. Simple as that. comedy@jamesmalendra.com or jamesmalendra@gmail.com and message me on Facebook. I have a yard sale this Sunday. And I have lots of homeware, and so if anyone is in a new home, if anyone's struggling, send me a message, and I would love to help you. That's it. That is the opposite of what these companies that pretend to support our communities do and are doing on a daily basis. And I say, screw you to them. Okay, that's all. Okay, let's move on. So I've done that was the news. What else was in the newspaper? The Maine governor, Janet Mills, was here in New Brunswick trying to tell New Brunswickers they've got nothing to fear going to Maine. I will say that one of my Maine shows, obviously, I cancelled it. We postponed it until things quietened down. The other one at Eastport Arts Centre, they are very kindly working tirelessly with the authorities to try and make that show happen and ensure that I don't get arrested and murdered by ICE, which is very kind of them because I don't want to be arrested or murdered. I've been arrested before. I haven't been murdered before. God bless and rest in peace to the Canadian who was murdered by ICE this week. Not making light of any situations. So anyway, I think they believe they've also reached out to Governor Janet Mills in Maine to say maybe we can make this show happen. As a site, I want the show to happen. I want to take Canadian comedy to Maine to perform for like-minded people, Canadian Canada lovers. And by the way, thanks to everyone for the lovely messages about my appearance on the Berg, the good stuff with Mary Berg this week. That whole segment, which I know I've done variations of that, like the I Am a Maritimer joke, the I Am a New Brunswicker joke. That was Elvis, one of the amazing producers at the Good Stuff, came up with the idea of Mary asking me about my citizenship and then playing Oh Canada and me doing that skit and again, and shout out to Ganong Chocolates, my beloved Ganong Chocolates, who I had to get a mention in there of, along with the ketchup chips and the bagged milk, the things that we are proud of as Canadians. Anyway, I had such a blast on the show. Everyone there is so lovely. I mean, you can tell, obviously, how genuine and real and wonderful Mary Berg is. The atmosphere in that studio is so... And the show is 100% live now, like The Social. It's weird when you're sat there knowing there's literally millions of people across Canada watching. And you are 100% live. But Mary, I mean, what? So she has hours and hours that every morning she gets up, gets in there at 5 a.m., starts rehearsing. And look at her. She looks amazing. She's like fresh and healthy looking. And and cooking and being funny and informative. I mean, I don't honestly things like that. Like people say I'm busy. I don't know how someone like Mary Berg does a show like that every single day. And again, it was pre-recorded last time I did it, and this time it was like I say, 100% live. And the studio, my one only regret is that they didn't show more of the studio audience, who were absolutely on fire. And partly it's because the Social and Mary Berg have the most amazing warm-up artists. Like they are, I'm assuming they are professional stand-up comedian headliners, because they are truly incredible, and the energy in that place. I was just like, honestly, I had so much fun. And it's just, the team there works they work closely with you to set you up for success. It's the same thing on the Social. But of course, you guys, me, beloved what should we call ourselves, by the way, gang? All of us, the team Mullins Weekly Ramble, who those of you that come up to me and at the Y or at Costco and say you listen, or in the hospitals, right? Are we the Ramblers? Should we call ourselves the Ramblers? Seriously, let's have a think about that, because that way, when you come up to me, because my wife doesn't listen to this, and she hasn't even read my book. Half of it's about her. She hasn't even read it. She doesn't really listen at the stand-up shows either. I remember Wayne Hansen texting me once going, after a particularly barnstorming gig, I think it was a Safegrad fundraiser at the KV. I know it was a Safegrad, it was for KV outreach, domestic violence outreach at KV High. And Wayne Hansen, the amazing musician, wrote to me and said, James, it was a particularly good gig. And afterwards he messaged me saying, like, every single person in that room was falling about laughing. The only person that wasn't laughing was your wife, who was on her phone the whole time. Anyway, I want to have a secret code. So when you guys come up to, if you are listening to this podcast and you see me in Sobeys or wherever, or in the lighting lounge, you can come up to me and go, James, I'm a rambler. Right, let's come up with a code. So tell me what you think. So anyway, you guys know me. So I flew to Toronto on the Monday, and obviously spent basically just from 5 p.m. through till midnight, pacing the hotel, going over and over what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. And of course, then in the morning you're going over and over. I desperately wanted, as a small time New Brunswick comedian who can barely get booked, it's a big deal when I want to make a good impression. I want to go out there and say to people across the country, come out to a show, or better still, I mean, this is the thing. I'll give you an example of what it's like. 90% of the shows on my tour are shows that I have personally, I take all of the risk. I book the venue. I'm putting out thousands and thousands of dollars on the venue, the travel, the hotel, all this, the promotion. And I pray to dear God that people would buy tickets. Otherwise I lose all that money. That's the nature of this. And when I reach out to comedy clubs in, for example, Edmonton, Alberta, they either don't reply or they're not interested because I'm not American, or I'm not, they think I'm not known enough. And yet after, for example, the Mary Berg show, I have literally dozens, and I would say over the last few years, hundreds of messages from people in and around me. Doreen Hayes, wonderful Doreen Hayes, is an example of someone from. Like what I need to do is just take the risk and go and book a theatre in Edmonton and sell it out, rather than trying to deal with these comedy clubs that won't reply because they only want Americans. But it's very frustrating. That's the reality of it. That I could not have. So I've received so many messages. When you come into Alberta, being 20 people. Please come to Alberta. And I am playing Alberta, by the way, thanks to the amazing Jake Hirsch, who is one of the very few Canadian operators and promoters who does support Canadian comedians. I'm doing the Cochrane Comedy Festival, and I should look this up. I believe Cochrane is a long drive from Calgary. Is that right? Anyway, I should know this, and I will know this by the Cochrane Comedy Festival, and I'm playing that the weekend of the 4th and 5th of October. So my point is that when I go on a show like Mary Berg, I want to make an impression. I want to, how many laughs can I pack into it was supposed to be a 6-minute segment, me even talking fast, it ends up overrunning. 7-minute segment. I need to pack in as many laughs as possible. And the studio audience were just electric and on fire. I wish you could have seen them. They were just like, they were going crazy. It was just so much fun. And I'm not often, you listen to this, you all know how I beat myself up. I rarely, I mean, there were things I was mad about. I missed a couple of jokes that I wanted to do. Again, as my wife said, no one's going to notice. It doesn't matter. And you got all the, there was a couple of things that I wish, I meant to do a joke about Willow the Mini Doodle. I couldn't have obviously said cock blocking, but I wanted to do a joke about how the Mini Doodle is affecting our love life. I forgot that line. So again, I always find things to beat myself up about. I had a tuft of hair in my forehead, which I didn't know was there. I think while I was jiggling about doing the Canadian skit, it must have fallen forward. That has annoyed me all week, that my quiff is in my face. Regular listener, or if you're a new listener, you don't know why, you're wondering why I had a quiff in my face. Search James Mullinger and quiff on YouTube, and I hope what comes up is my comedy routine about it and not something else. Okay, I'm going to quickly whiz through the week, and then we're going to go to some questions, and then I'm going. Oh, by the way, TV recommendation. I don't really like a lot of these. Like when what they called teen, books, young adult books get converted. Oh my God, I am struggling with words. Translated, no. Oh, yeah, our bilingual edition of the Mailto Edit goes to print today. I don't tell you we're doing just a bilingual edition celebrating bilingualism. 10 people who happen to be bilingual being interviewed, and it's in both English and French, obviously. Also done a special issue for the egg farmers in New Brunswick. It's been a busy time. What was I saying? There was something, I can't remember. No, it was after Quiff, going through the week. So point being, I don't always love young adult adaptations, that's the word. Like my summer with the Harvey Boys, I slept with 50 men. That's not what that is. Whatever it is, not the Hardy Boys. They're those amazing musicians. By the way, if it's those amazing musicians, again, I don't want to promote an American show, but they are from New Brunswick, and I think they came second or one or something. But anyway, they're playing Kira Amphitheatre on not Christmas Day, Canada Day. Canada Day next week. Canada Day. Canada, it's so hard to say, isn't it? Canada Day. Isn't it very ironic that the word Canada Day has too many A's in it? Is that Canadian stereotype? That stereotype people have of Canadians saying A at the end of every sentence. Do people actually do that? Okay. I've got a bit lost. I've got to say, I can't remember what I was banging on about. So last week I spoke to you all, I think on Friday. I went to the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market. That's right, I don't know if I could talk about it then. I went to the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market to be presented with a certificate for a share for the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market. My dear friend Gina had tragically lost both of her parents within the space of a few weeks, and while she was as the executor of her father's will and estate, she found amongst his things a share for the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market. That same day, heard me on Emily Brass's CBC show, Information Morning, St. John CBC, talking about my love of the peninsula, and she very kindly decided to gift it to me, and then wonderful Shelley Keys at the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market, president of the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market, facilitated this. So me and River drove to the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market. Can I say, it sounds like we're sponsored by the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market. We're not. We're actually sponsored by the Lighting Lounge in Rossay, 52 Mile Road, thelightinglounge.ca. I must say that to balance out, to keep the fair and balancedness of the show, because I've said the words Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market too many times. We went there and I was presented with a certificate, and it was very lovely and very sweet. And newsflash, or bosh, for listeners of last week's episode, that might have messed up the audio. That's what Podstarter do. One of the many things they do is when I shout bosh and I mess up my microphone, because you can't see me right now. I wish you could. Maybe I'm going to start doing this. I'm not going to start doing videos. I'm not bloody Joe Rogan. Cat fisting a dog. That actually wouldn't be that hard, will it? 'Cause the paw's quite small. Anyway, my point. I'm going to do a show at the Kingston Peninsula Farmers Market. Is the point? Possibly in fall. I will quickly say, over July, we'll be doing the show is going to become bi-weekly. So you will hear this show on the 16th of July and the 30th of July. And then August, possibly the same. There'll be 2 rather than... so anyway, then went to Yipsider, where there was actually, I believe there was a Touchstone Academy. We're having a graduation ceremony there, which was super sweet. So we get there and all like River's little friends are there. I was there putting up posters. Again, it's part of the grind of doing this, the reality of doing this job. When it's elbows down across the country for Canadian performers, I'm going around putting up my own posters. Showbiz, mate. Yes, so as you may know, so I went to Yipsider, and then me and River played soccer in the garden Friday night for a couple of hours to warm up for the big soccer tournament in Fredericton. Yes, it was epic. So much fun. Saturday was the most beautiful weather ever. And Fredericton, it was just gorgeous. Sunday, then, was the worst rain in the history of the world ever. Literally, I've never seen 2 more extremes of weather. Saturday, sunbathing, morning game, bosh. Rivers team won 8-4 because Tom, the coach, is an absolute legend. Tom, actually, interestingly, it was also. Didn't you love these amazing, heroic men and women, and theys, but also everyone, anyone who coaches, heroes, just godlike heroes. So anyway, Tom was also Rivers' basketball coach when he was about 5. He was there one fateful day when I was on the road a lot in those days when we first moved there, doing a lot, I would land back from Newfoundland after like 7 nights of shows, and I would drive River to basketball. I would fall asleep. This was at Fairvale, is that what it's called? Elementary. Mrs. Dobbin is the principal. Beautiful school. Anyway, I fell asleep during a basketball game and got a ball in the face, and there was nothing worse than being like literally passed out asleep, and then A, getting hit in the face with a ball, B, getting woken up like that, and C, millions of children and parents laughing at you. And it's a weird thing when your whole job is people laughing at you. And you live for it, and you live in fear of people not laughing. But then when you get hit in the face with a basketball. Anyway, so the first game, an 8-4 win. Beautiful. Then we walked around. I've never done this before. Can you believe this? I've never walked from the Beaverbrook. We went to Chesapeake, obviously, for a delicious piece of gluten-free cake. Bumped into, actually, an amazing man, Francis Maguire, who many of you may know used to be the president of ACOA. He's like a real, like, Frank McKenna type when it comes to New Brunswick. Like, Francis, absolute legend. Anyway, bumped into him on that street where the Playhouse is, and I walked past lots of posters for, American performers, elbows down, and went to Chesapeake, then walked over the bridge. Have you done this? I mean, you walk, obviously, the Beaverbrook, the architecture, phenomenal. Walk down the bridge. First of all, there's an art exhibition, like artists on the bridge. So it's scorching hot sun. We've just won 8-4. We're walking over the bridge. Artists everywhere. Every single one phenomenal. Didn't see a mile of amazing artists. Then across the other side of the bridge, pickeroons. Beautiful, beautiful pickeroons. Absolutely packed outside. The Lions Club are there selling hot dogs. I have a souvlaki from the restaurant inside Pickeroons. Have the chicken souvlaki, like salad bowl. Oh my goodness, world class! And the infrastructure and the system and everything just works so well there. Like it's too often in Atlantic Canada, things just don't always work how we want them to work. And then you go to big cities and you go, why the F can't it work like that here? For example, Uber. Can anyone tell me, listeners, please, why we don't have Uber here in Atlantic Canada? It's so bad for businesses that we don't. Anyway, here's one for you. I took a taxi from St. John Airport home from on Tuesday night when I got back from Toronto at midnight. And I took a taxi from downtown Toronto to Toronto Airport on the same day, an Uber. The Uber, which took an hour and 10 minutes or whatever, cost me $55 from downtown Toronto to Pearson. The flight from the taxi from Loch Lomond Airport or French Village Airport or St John Airport, whatever you want to call it, to Rossay Road, which is about a 9-minute drive, was $60. And again, it's obviously not metered. So you get in, they say, obviously hear the British accent, so they assume idiot. That's just not competitive. And it's not, and I know it's different. Like in St John, the fares are few and far between, and I respect to entrepreneurs, but it's not competitive. And anyway, how did I get onto this? So the infrastructure, the pick-a-rones, just everything just worked well. You go and you stand in line for 1 minute. Bosh, place your order. Bosh, you get a message. It's ready. Bosh, you eat it. Bosh, it's gone. Everything was just slick. It was gorgeous out there. Gorgeous sunny day. Just go do this walk. And you're probably going to... I bumped into the SD family, amazing SD family, who, of course, are behind the SD Art Initiative and also, are the SD Group, who are one of the most respected organisations in this entire region. Love the SDs. And, of course... Jennifer was going up and down speaking to all the artists. Anyway, point being, tell me, have you done this bridge walk down the bridge? I mean, are you probably all thinking, Mullinger, how have you not done this before? Oh yeah, Chris Hatt said that to me that night. My friend Chris Hatt is from Fredericton. He actually went to school with John LaRue, one of his oldest friends. Didn't know. It's funny when you have two friends who are very good friends and you don't know those two friends know each other. Anyway, just glorious. Sunny day, went back for the second game. The second game, it was a 1-3 loss to us. I'm not one of these dads or soccer fans or sports fans that says we should have won, but we kind of won. There was a bit of a ref situation, shall we say, and some bad behaviour on the pitch. Not our team, by the way. Basically, we should have won. Basically, we did win, we just didn't win, if you know what I mean. Went to 12 Neighbours for a coffee. Marcel Lebron's phenomenal cafe and housing initiative. Went to Michael's with River to buy a diary so he can do his summer scrapbook. We do summer scrapbooks where anything we go to, it's tickets, beaches, Canadian parks, and we collect something. He writes in every day what he does. He's loving the kayak camp, by the way, down at Renforth Wharf. If you are a listener, if you have a child who is a coach, a counsellor, know what they're called? Not counsellors. Well, one of the kids work in the kayaking camp. Hats off to them and give them a big hug and thank you from me. That's what I got distracted from an hour ago. The young adult adaptations, there's a new one called We Were Liars on Prime, which looks like it seems a bit trite and, shit, like wannabe Dawson's Creek. It actually has a phenomenal twist. And crucially, when you're watching it, you're thinking, oh my goodness, look at this. It's Martha's Vineyard. Why can't we have places like this here? Turns out we do. It is filmed in Nova Scotia. And so hats off to those filmmakers for bringing films to the Maritimes. Hats off to all the people who are highlighting the fact this was filmed in Nova Scotia, because come to the Maritimes. Hats on and elbows down to the actress, and I'm not one to call people a moron, but the moron who was on CTV being interviewed, who said the following sentence. It was so nice filming in Nova Scotia because it was so isolating because it's really hard to get to. And God bless you, Todd Battis, for picking up on that statement at the end. And he goes at the end. Todd is so funny and a lovely man in my life as well, by the way, but so dry. And he was like, and we, in classic Todd Battis way, he goes, are we really that hard to get to? It's like, what fucking planet are you living on? That Halifax is hard to get to. What a stupid thing to say. I mean, what kind of Hollywood moron? It's like, so basically, so you got on a plane, flew direct to Halifax, and then you drove 30 minutes to Lunenburg. And if it's that hard to get to, get more, be better at your job so you can get a private plane to your film sets. Halifax hard to get to, isolating. I mean, anyway, but kudos. They were saying how beautiful it was and blah, 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 blah. But, it gets my back up when, in this era, when if an American actress says something that morning. So anyway, watch We Were Lies, filmed in Maritime, so you get some local pride. Very good twist. If you also do like young adult romance, I will say that some of my favourite books that I have read in recent years are a series of books that are... Basically, if you think of the joy you got from watching the TV show Glee, or if you're from my era, watching Dawson's Creek. I read somewhere that Katie Holmes and what's his name? Pacey, what's his real name? Joshua Jackson. Who is he, Canadian? Or is he just in a lot of Canadian things because his career doesn't go very well? That's a joke. Elbows up. I read somewhere that Pacey and Katie Holmes were going to be dating. Or was that just like wishful thinking? You hate certain cliches that become so popular. I didn't have that on my bingo card for 2025. That bingo card line is getting a bit... Although I did use it in our BMO shows. I think on the final night, me and Ali Hassan were doing that improv thing where people put suggestions in the box and we read... we have to riff routines on the suggestions. And inside the box of suggestions, someone put a bingo card in, and we were joking about only in St. John would someone bring the bingo card with them, like, in case the show gets boring, I'll do the bingo. And then they chucked it in the suggestions box. And then at some point during the show, Ali came up with some brilliant joke, got a massive laugh, and I said, I didn't have that on and I held up the bingo card. I'm basically just sitting here saying I did something funny. Don't tell, James, be funny. Don't tell the audience you're funny. Show, don't tell. Yeah, says every script editor ever. What the... Okay, point anyway. Great author, Sophie McAloon, right? You may know her as a community leader in New Brunswick, and her family, wonderful, wonderful people all around. Jeff McAloon, of course, former president of the St. John Regional, where it used to be. He was the president of St. John Regional Hospital of our nation. So what you may not know is Sophie McAloon is actually a best-selling author. She doesn't promote this fact locally because the books aren't essentially, they're globally successful. And they're not promoted as local literature as such. She is globally best-selling young romance adult author, and I read her books every year. She's also very prolific. I think she writes like one a year, and and they're phenomenal, and they're very literary in their execution. So anyway, I'll be reading one. I'm on holiday to PEI for a few days next week. Anyway, so Saturday was lovely. Sunday, Fredericton, pissing with rain. Or literally the most wet I've ever been. And hats off, by the way, to Dave Miles, the musician. Dave Miles, who some of you may have seen at Yip Cider, performs on a regular basis, performs all over, I've done many shows with Dave Miles, love the guy. His son is also on the same soccer team as my son, River. Dave Miles bought a massive canopy / marquee / tent to protect us all from the rain. This thing must have cost $500, and the wind blew it up in the air and then snapped it in half. It was absolutely torrential. But we all sat there like, soccer fans and good parents that we are in the pissing rain. In between the two games, we actually drove around Fredericton trying to find a laundrette so we could dry off River's kit so he wasn't freezing for the second half of the game. You have no idea how many laundrettes close. Every laundrette that we found on the list, we get to the location. It turns out it's where it used to be. That night we had a bonfire actually on the beach. Are you allowed to have bonfires on the beach? Well, if you are allowed to have bonfires on the beach, we had the biggest bonfire ever. Burning pallets on our beach facing Long Island on the Rosse Road. We have a bit of beach rights there. With a massive bonfire. If you're not allowed to have bonfires, then that was a joke. And we didn't do that. But if you are allowed, we did. And it was epic. River's a great bonfire builder. And Hunter even joined us for a bit, which is nice because obviously 14-year-olds don't really want to hang with their dads anymore because they hang out with their mates. But I'm really happy that Hunter and his mates are having an epic summer. Like, they are living the dream. Like, Hunter, Elia, Craig, Mohammed, Sam, Clark, like they're all like out having fun all the time. And I just love the fact that like they're all going to be talking about the summer of 25 in years to come, because they just live in the dream. Fishing, bonfires. Well, again, that's a joke if you're not allowed to have bonfires. Jumping off the wharf, whatever else they get up to, sleepovers. They're living, although to be fair, today Hunter is working his backside off for my father-in-law, who is a hard taskmaster, let me tell you. Barry Arthur from the Kingston Peninsula does not mess about when he's hiring. And I think basically Hunter lost a bet. They do hockey NHL bets, like sweepstake type things where they bet. And Barry predicted that Lane Hudson was going to be Rookie of the Year, kind of as a joke. And he was. So Hunter lost, and now he has to do 50 hours of work for Barry, and that is going to be 50 hours of hard labour. And Blaine Hudson, we actually have his rookie card. Adam Newton, Jess Newhouse gave the kids some hockey card packs for Christmas. One of the cards we pulled out of the pack was a rookie of Lane Hudson, who then goes on to be Rookie of the Year. And when we was in Montreal in April, where we met Lane Hudson and he signed the rookie card for Hunter. How epic is that? If you do collect hockey cards, by the way, the two places to buy them are Vintage Pursuit in McAllister Mall, Stu Kincaid's shop, or the Coin Cabinet, West St. John, opposite Moosehead Brewery's Steve Small's shop. They're not sponsors of this podcast, but you know who is? The Lighting Lounge, 52D Mar Road, Rossay, New Brunswick, thelightinglounge.ca, phone number 506-847-5483. Open today till 4 p.m. Go and say hello to Serge and Tiffany. Like I say, it's where the lighting shop used to be. I was saying this earlier, that the big chains often send customers to the Lighting Lounge because they know their stuff. And this is the thing. A crucial point that you may not know is that people often think independent lighting shop might not be as cheap as the big chains. Not only do they have the best selection and the best advice and knowledge, they're also competitive, i.e. cheaper than the big stores. And they've got the budget stuff, they've got the cheap stuff, but they've also got the premium luxury stuff. I tell you who sent me there first, actually, was Judith Mackin recommended them to me when we were doing work together on our house when we moved here. Judith Mackin, of course, one of the most respected and admired interiors experts and owner of Tuck Studio Uptown, also an amazing store. Not a sponsor, but, so could be. Sex shops, Tuck Studio, come on, sponsor this podcast. But Tuck Studio, of course, was basically one of the best interior stores anywhere in Canada. Said it before many times. Growing, the team there are phenomenal. This is testament to how amazing Judith Mackin is. Not only does the business continue to thrive and flourish, and people that have been here for years shop there, people that move here. Jennifer, my new neighbour in the Ackerman's house, go to Tuck Studio to your friend and my friend Shannon Rosker. She would also recommend this. What's my point? I've gone off. Anyway, the point being is that the Lighting Lounge is where they're the experts, and like I say, you are. Okay, I've got distracted by something. My point is that anyway. So everyone, please, suggestions for Jennifer, my new neighbour. Where should she shop? Where should she go? Shannon Penny Rocker, please, give Jennifer a welcome hug from me. We're going to go soon. So all I will say is I've got a few more things to cover, which are, I mentioned last week the TV show This City Is Ours, phenomenal. It's getting better and better. The opposite of Mobland. If Mobland is bold and the beautiful, This City Is Ours is The Sopranos. It is getting, honestly, it's absolutely gripping. Good Stuff with Mary Burke. If you haven't seen the Good Stuff with Mary Burke segment from Tuesday's show, I will post it in the link in the synopsis to this. It goes on the Spotify's and the Apple Podcasts and everything else. There will also be a link to our sponsor, the Lighting Lounge's website, right below. I will also say this is one of the most requested things on this podcast in all of your questions is always about dating and what a nightmare it is dating. And I hear this from two group segments of groups. I hear it from women in the region and gay men. The Grindr is a bit of a nightmare here because it seems to be full of like married, outwardly straight men looking to cheat on their wives, which is not what all gay men want, by the way. They are looking for. This is the problem with Grindr. It has this kind of like, again, nothing wrong with looking for just sex. But I have dear friends who I don't know if they want me to name them, so I won't. And you can let me know. I know you listen. So if I can name you, mate, let me know. I have a gay friend who is an incredible catch, an incredible creative talent, an incredible entrepreneur, and also just an all-round beautiful man inside and out. And Grindr doesn't always have the answers. Sometimes it has the answers, right? When and my other friend, Angela Orban, she has told me about the many, and I will say, congratulations, Angela. I saw on the Facebooks earlier that you have just, I believe, happy ECE graduation. You're now a teacher. She has just done a course at NBCC, and I will say NBCC, I'm doing a series of 4 shows for them, actually, later this year. So if you are a student at NBCC, I'll be seeing you later this year. Angela, congratulations on your qualification. You're amazing. And she's shared with me, along with many other people, the traumas of dating in this week. Basically, the problem all around is, and I'm not being crass, I'm just telling you, it's dick pics. Men, there's a lot of evil men out there. And now there is a salute, and everyone's asking me, and I was saying I was going to create a dating. Another person who's told me about this is Caitlin Dean. Again, another phenomenal human being who should not have problems dating, and yet does due to the fact that men are primarily problematic. Single men in their 30s and upwards are, in a lot of cases, problematic. So I'm putting this out there. If you know a single man who is looking for more than just a one-night stand, is looking for a serious relationship, let me know, because I've always said I would do this. But help is at hand. Angela, Caitlin, all other lovely ladies that are listening, gay men, all my beloved friends who are listening for matchmaking, Yenna Hurley to the rescue. Yenna Hurley has just launched the One Connection. They're currently testing the One Connection and are looking for early clients to help perfect the service. As a beta tester, you'll get access at a reduced rate while helping them share developmental costs. Basically, a One Connection is to connect professionals seeking meaningful relationships. They're developing a sophisticated compatibility algorithm that goes beyond the superficial swiping culture, and Yenna needs your help to make it even better. According to research, about half, and this is good research, not the kind of bullshit research that says that Esso and Gervin needs to charge more for their gas to rip us off. No, not that kind of research. This is good research. According to research, half of those that have used dating apps say they've come across someone that they think was trying to scam them. At the One Connection, we believe you deserve better, and you do deserve better, fellow ramblers, or whatever we're going to call ourselves in this special gang. And we're real people, real verification, real connections. So go to, message me if you're looking for this, or go to Yenna Hurley's Facebook. Yenna Hurley, many of you will know, it has been hugely instrumental in so many things. Primarily, I would say, if you're witnessing the success of the New Brunswick film industry right now, which you would be if you've watched that TV show, what's it called, Revival. That has tons of amazing people in it. It was made by amazing people. Hemmings House produced this. Yenna Hurley was at the forefront of kind of steering the province towards supporting film. It was her that got Premier Higgs on side with the Race Against the Tide and Revival, and we on a very, very, very much smaller scale. The small productions that we did, Atlantic Edition and Brit Out of Water, all couldn't have happened without Yenna Hurley. And now she's pivoting her skills to saving the dating industry. Dating game in New Brunswick. God bless you, Yenna. So anyway, Kathy Richardson messaged last week to ask about because she has a YouTube channel, Epicurious Cat, and she was looking to try local takeout. So I want anyone to please suggest to me any other takeouts that we should be recommending. My son tells me that the poutine and the burgers at Big D's in Rothesay are phenomenal. I'm a big fan of the Sandwich Junkies, which is down the road, down near to my gym, Rothesay Athletics. And the Sandwich Junkies is an ice cream shop, but they do amazing gluten-free chicken, bacon, mayo sandwich. It's basically my ideal food. I can bike there and bike back and burn off the calories in the bike ride of the sandwich. Anyway, hot tip. So there's another one, Kathy. Obviously, Kathy, you know all the ones in your area of beautiful Charlotte County. Canada Day. Where are you spending Canada Day? 2 amazing places. Thanks to Mayor Nancy Grant. Canada Day on the Rothesay Commons is always a huge amount of fun. Possibly one of the best places in the world to spend Canada Day is St. Andrews by the Sea. A close third would be Trafalgar Square in London, where my friend Kevjet is hosting on the big stage there in Trafalgar Square, Canada Day celebrations. Nancy Reagan is going to be there, which means, of course, that there won't be the annual video on screen of me and Nancy Reagan wishing everyone a happy Canada Day, but there will be a video of me and Ali Hassan on the... pardon me, sorry. Again, if you don't want to hear burps on this podcast, we need more sponsors to be able to afford editing. I'm just going to have a drink on my drink. One sec. Okay, so Profesh. Nancy Reagan will be there with Kevjet, Canada Day. Who told me? Oh, my friend Claire Fox's mum is going to be there. Was it you? Was it you, Steph, that told me that you and Drew apologies if I got this wrong. Steph and Drew, I think, are in Canada. In England, what's it called? England. For Canada Day, and they're basically in Trafalgar Square. So, Steph, if you're listening, please, well, A, say hello to my friend Claire, but B, please, if you can take a picture or whatever, if you don't mind. It's by the Canadian Embassy. There's a big screen. There'll be a massive stage, millions of people. Kev Jet on stage. Nancy Reagan's there. Go and give them a hug from me. But yeah, me and Ali Hassan's video's going to be on the big screen. What was my point? Other places, Kathy, Charlotte County. How did I get onto all this? Joseph Camo asked last week, what happened to local journalism in New Brunswick? Well, what happened was people sending their money to Zuckerberg is basically what happened. I'm looking for others. Charmaine Caput asked, what is an example of things known by one name here in Canada that you'd call by another name in the UK? That's one thing I flubbed on the Mary Berg show, is I flubbed the rubber joke. I'm supposed to say eraser here is rubber. I said rubber first. Still got a laugh. Possibly no one noticed. Me, obviously spent all week waking up at 3 a.m. going, you messed up the joke, you idiot. Okay, I'm going to go. That's a long podcast. That's a long one. Ooh, Mrs. Ooh, Mrs. That's the that was the 80s. That was from the Carry On films. That was the Ooh, Mrs. Oh, said the actress to the bishop. Those are the 80s versions of That's What She Said. I had a wonderful That's What She Said moment at Long Bay Brewery doing a gig the other week, which I was loath to post on the socials because I thought to myself, that's what she said joke. It's kind of Steve Carell's, like, is it that funny? But it got such a reaction. I'm going to do it. Where's my bloody notebook? What else? Okay, I got Ugwug on DVD this week. Brian Finley's amazing film, Ugwug. Also went to Sunrise Records in the mall and got 2 Andre Rieu DVDs. Okay, next week I'm away. Mentions there won't be a podcast next week. There'll only be 2 episodes. So basically, there won't be a podcast for 2 weeks. So I hope this has been a good one. I'm going to be reading my friend Francis Morneau's book, The Light of Faded Stars. I'm also reading Roy Chubby Brown's autobiography yet again. What else is on my desk? I've got the programme here for Cinderella at the Richmond Theatre in London, which was I went to see in December 1983, and it forms the most pivotal chapter in my second book, which is when I was dragged on stage by Lionel Blair and Patsy Kensit, and my granny had taken me to this. My granny tragically passed when I was about 9. But this was the moment that I believe my career and life on the stage, treading the boards, was born. And my mother believes it too. And I don't know how it got missed out in my first book, but it's in the second book, which I truly believe to be much better already than the first. Thank you for listening, my friends. Follow the Lighting Lounge on Facebook. Go and see the amazing Serge Landry. Basically, it's where the lighting store used to be, but now it's the same great service, just whole new selection, whole new name. And he's also, am I allowed to say this, Serge? Well, I'm going to say it, and we can't edit it because, again, budget's not big enough. So there's going to be, it's called the Lighting Lounge because there's going to be seats there, and you can chill there. And sit outside there in the sun, reading copies of the Mailto Edit, and comedians might pop by now and again. So if you want to hang out with a comedian and read a copy of the Mailto Edit, hear some jokes, have some fun, pop into the Lighting Lounge. Anyway, more to come. Thanks for listening, everyone. I do appreciate it. Produced by Podstarter. Thank you, John and Reese. Thank you, Serge, for keeping this podcast alive. Happy Canada Day to all of you next week. As I said, I'm going to be off. I basically am going to be off the socials for a couple of weeks because I've got to finish the Gang Dang book, and I've got 4 chapters to go, and the most important chapters, the one about Blackpool, is almost finished, and I love it. I don't love much of what I do, but I really, really love this chapter about my Blackpool pilgrimage with my friends a few weeks ago. So I will be finishing that book at the interestingly titled but world-class resort Black Bush in PEI. See you in 2 weeks, everyone. Thanks for listening. Tickets on sale. Yip cider shows 24th of July, 25th of July, 26th of July. If the governor, Janet, comes through, that show will be happening in Eastport, Maine. Tell me if you think that's right that I'm doing this, or should I not be doing it? Messages. I think I should be doing it. I think we should be united with the people who we are united with. And like I say, can't get any work here in Canada because it's elbows down across the country due to everyone loving American comedians. Hampton on the 29th of July, PEI Courthouse Theatre on the 31st of July, and then millions more gigs after that. But anyway, thanks for listening. I'm James Mullinger. Bloody hell, it's been a long episode. Sponsored by The Lighting Lounge, thelightinglounge.ca. God bless you, listeners. Please do tell me what we should be calling ourselves. I will see you all in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful summer. Enjoy the weather. And I'll see you at my yard sale this Sunday, 29th of June, Rossay Road. Message me if you need the number, but you'll see us. We're going to be having a blast. Love yous. Bye.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.